Okay, hey guys, it's Toby Morrison here. Welcome to the webinar. I can see there's a fair few people logging in now. So if you can comment in the sections on the side of the bar, you can ask me questions there, which is great. I had an awesome webinar last night. Unfortunately, there was about 50 people who tried to get in, and unfortunately, there was only about 10 who could access it in a private webinar. So for those lucky 10 viewers, it was really good. Hey guys, it's Toby Morrison here. Welcome to the webinar. I can see there's a fair few people logging in now. All right, so we've got a few people logging in. We're just going to wait. We're just going to wait a minute or so just to make sure that everyone's in, and then we're gonna get started. So if you can just be patient just for a minute or two, and then we can get started and can listen to some of the wise words I'll say, and also, it's about, I guess, taking some inspiration from today and implementing it on your life, because we can talk all we want, we can listen all we want, but until we actually put into action what we've learnt, we're not really going to see, any results. And I guess from my point of view, that's what I want to see today from this hangout is, you guys taking something from it, but then also implementing it in your life. So if you want, again, you can comment in the right-hand side of the box there for the people who are listening to the webinar, and then go from there. So again, we'll wait another 30 seconds and then we'll get stuck into it. All right, awesome. Looks like we've got a fair few people listening, which is great. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Toby Morrison. I founded the CFS Help Centre and the CFS Help Online Recovery Program. I've worked with people with chronic fatigue syndrome for over 7 years now. I dealt with chronic fatigue syndrome myself for 4 years in my teens. And then from there, after recovering, and it was a long kind of, hard, road, I dedicated myself to helping people with CFS. So I work one-on-one with people, and I also obviously help people online in over 13 different countries now. We recently just started helping people in Dubai and other countries like Sweden and even Japan, which is crazy. So look, I've run webinars all week this week, and a lot of the talking points have been really simple, basic stuff that we seem to forget over time. And one of the biggest things that I like talking about at the moment, and I think it's very relevant, is working on self-improvement. And what I mean by that is not comparing yourself to anyone but yourself in your current situation or circumstances. Okay, and what I'm seeing at the moment is a lot of us, and I did this myself when I was sick, I usually always compared myself to everyone else but me. It was either the people who were healthy and fit who I used to look up to, or who I used to be like. It felt like my life was, getting wasted, and I was kind of comparing myself to them and setting myself up for failure mentally and physically. And then there's the opposite of going, well, I used to be like that, so I can still try and be like that. Again, that kind of sets us up for failure as well when we're not really working on our current situation and circumstances. And a lot of it comes down to acceptance of where we're at. It took me 2 years to accept where I was at. I did a great webinar last night with a girl called Raya, and you can search her on my website. She's now a CFS coach. It took her 4 years to accept where she was at. She used to email me 4 years straight, asking me, questions here and there, and I used to reply to her and say, look, if you want help, just come and get some help. There's no use, seeing a couple of emails and then, trying your best with that. Sure enough, she wasn't ready, and I don't think don't think you can rush your readiness. It's when you're ready to actually change and put in the work and effort and energy to help yourself. And it's not about mustering up all the strength and courage and motivation you've got, because we know that motivation runs at an all-time low when we're going through something so severe. But what it takes is belief. Belief that you are going to get better and that you want to get better. They're the most important things that you can have right now in your recovery to get the life that you want. And I don't want to really talk about CFS or the term chronic fatigue syndrome much today, because CFS really all it means is you're tired, you're sick, your immune system's low, you're deconditioned, you know, life kind of sucks. Mentally, you might be struggling just to, you know, stick out the whole day every day. I know I did for more than 4 years, and again, you know, we don't want to kind of be in that pity party. I don't want to sit here and hold hands and cry together and you know, make each other kind of feel good by that sense, because that's not going to help us either. And it's important to deal with your emotions, but it's also important to actually, you know, focus on what you can do right now rather than, you know, living in the future or the past, which can make us anxious or depressed. Now, one of the terms that I see a lot with doctors around CFS is that most people think it's in your head. Well, it's not. Okay. You know, things like CFS can cause secondary depression and can cause secondary anxiety, but it's not the cause of your illness. So if you're out there and you are struggling mentally, just make sure that you are, you know you're human and you know what you're going through is quite real. Okay. Now, again, before I keep talking, make sure if the guys who are in the webinar right now, you guys can you know, write a comment in the group chat right there, and I can see it. And if you want to ask me any questions throughout this, I can obviously answer anything that you ask. Okay. So we're going to go back to basics, and I spoke about acceptance first. With acceptance comes figuring out where you're currently at, and you know. Acceptance is not just a physical thing. Acceptance is a mental thing where we mentally, you know, adjust our lifestyle accordingly to what our capabilities are. Okay. I talk a lot about baseline with CFS, and baseline is all about figuring out what you can and can't do without making you worse. All right, worse than you already are right now. And this is a tough one to actually get right, because most of us. You know, we might have a good week with CFS and we might feel on top of the world, or at least maybe have a slight kind of inkling of energy where we think maybe I can go back to the old me, you know. And the problem is, if we do that, we usually push and crash and then crumble and go backwards. Okay, so it's really important that if you're at that stage where, you know, you're getting a small glimpse of energy and you're going, oh, maybe I can just, you know, go back to the old lifestyle I was living. It's probably not the smartest move to do just yet. Now, in saying that, you can get back to full recovery. And I know a lot of people, you know, on a daily basis, I get emails, I get questions, you know, and they go, you know, are you fully recovered? Do you ever have a relapse? So right now, it's 10 a.m. in the morning in Melbourne, Australia, and my hair's a bit frizzy, and normally I'd fix it up for you, but I'd actually just driven an hour and a half down the surf coast to go for a surf at 6 a.m. Now, some healthy people can't even do that. So I literally just got out of the water half an hour ago. Now I'm sitting here on the surf coast in a nice cozy home, you know, talking to you guys. So, you know, if that's not proof, I don't know what is. So please take my word for it that people can fully recover. I've seen amazing results with thousands of people who have gone through my program. You know, and the other thing you've got to remember is when people get better, they don't tend to you know, go and tell their story about, you know, their journey with CFS, because they're too busy living their lives again. So, you know, one of the things that I see on the internet is a lot of negativity revolving around CFS. Now, if you go to my website, you'll see that there's nothing negative about it. You know, I even got questioned a while ago. Someone wrote in and said that my website was too positive. You know, and giving false hope, and it's not too positive. It's just the fact that what I talk about is real and genuine. It's just the fact that it needs to be heard more. When I was struggling with CFS, all I did was research chronic fatigue because I wanted to get better. Unfortunately, all I read was, you know, CFS lasts forever. You know, some people can, you know, literally deteriorate and be paralyzed. You know, there was all these crazy myths out there, and it was just people's opinions that I was starting to believe. And this was probably the worst thing that I could do at the time, was researching more and more and more. Eventually I stopped that and just focused on what I could do and what I can control and what I could believe in. Otherwise I was going to go crazy and I was never going to recover. So my advice to you: exclude any negativity, and that includes forums and support groups that actually aren't that supportive. And I know, you know, I might shake a few feathers, but you know, I run a forum for my online programmers, and there's only positive stuff there, and I've got rules there, and I guess that people respond well to the positivity that I bring, because if you aren't positive about, you know, your situational circumstances, how are you ever going to, you know, improve your lifestyle? You know, and it's important, you know, like I was saying before, you've just got to look for the positive, not the negatives. And one of the things is, you know, I could have easily chosen that road and gone back to what it was for me, which was basketball. That was my whole life, and I always get the question, you know, come and play for my basketball team. You know, I'd stand up, but I'm 6'6", so I'm very tall, and for some reason I had this inkling in my body when I was sick, when I was in my, you know, deathbed, if you like. I just didn't want to see anyone else have to go through what I had to go through without any help or guidance or support or positivity. So I dedicated myself over the last 10 years to really help people, you know, inspire them and obviously help them rebuild their health and get their life back. So, you know, if you're feeling like there's not much positivity out there, I suggest you stop looking at the negative stuff, stop looking at the problems, and start finding solutions. And that's one of the things that I took into my recovery, you know, about halfway through, because I was just fed up with all the crap out there and all the people who could apparently cure me, and then I'd go there and I'd be set up for failure. All right, so again, yeah, exclude the problem searching and find the solutions. And I know there's not many out there, but the first start is, you know, obviously listening to webinars like this and gaining inspiration. I'm going to do many more of them in the next couple of months and get some inspiring interviews going on with people who have recovered, not just myself, but other walking examples who have got their life back and are kind of inspired. Okay, so again, we're going to go back to the start of recovery, and I think it's really important that you accept where you're at. And this is a forever thing in terms of accepting where you're at. And I think what happens is, you know, CFS goes in cycles and stages. So initially we're completely bedridden, you know, we've been hit by a truck, and then we have things such as setbacks and relapses. Setbacks can be usually caused by other chronic illnesses. They can be caused by flus and colds and other sicknesses on top of CFS, but they can also be caused by overdoing it. And this is the number one thing I see on a day-to-day basis: people overdoing it. Whether it's with their school, whether it's with their work, whether it's with their stress, whether it's with their family, whether it's with their activity. It can be something simple as overdoing it with your daily chores. It could be something simple like, you know, going to the movies. Sometimes we just don't listen to our bodies well enough. And the funny thing is, CFS actually teaches you things that you can't learn in the textbook, things that, you know, a uni lecturer can't teach you, because it teaches you to be intuitive and in tune with your body and your mind. And I know, you know, I'm not trying to be wacky here. I'm just trying to make some sense, because the symptoms that are flaring you up and are giving you, you know, pain and grief, they're actually warning signs and telling you to slow down. So, you know, initially, if you can listen to your body and listen to the warning signs, and you make the simple changes, you will actually see results in the long run in terms of getting your energy back and improving your overall health. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally, because when we physically feel okay, what happens mentally? We usually feel good as well. All right, so it works both ways. Another thing I want to talk about today is stress. Hands up if you're stressed, and you know, probably all of you are just going, yeah, I'm always stressed, or I don't know how to deal with it, I'm so anxious all the time. The mental aspect of CFS is one of the hardest things I'd ever have to go through in my life. You know, and I see it every day. You know, I usually see, you know, 8 to 10 patients per day in my clinic. Out of those 10 patients, I'd say probably 4 to 5 of them per time usually are in tears or are distressed or are stressed with their situation. And when we come in, we make sure that we deal with that, because the only way you can deal with it is by going through it, not around it. It's like, we usually bury our stress and pretend it's not there, and then all of a sudden it bursts, and then we just can't deal with it, and it causes a massive relapse or setback. My suggestion with stress, is be conscious of it. Don't let your stress control you. You should control your stress. So if something's stressing you out, or you are anxious about something, it's important that you write it down. I've got a certain protocol in my online program for all my clients that they have to write down what they're consciously thinking and stressing about, and then write down the worst case scenario, okay? Because it's very unlikely that that's going to happen anyway, unless you keep constantly thinking about and stressing it. Of course you're going to feel bad about it. But then writing out certain situations, how you could overcome it, okay? Sometimes just relaxing techniques can be important, like meditation, deep breathing, counseling, talking to someone. Sometimes just writing things down can be helpful. So it's very important that you figure that out. Now, chronic stress or stress in general is the #1 cause of chronic illness in the world right now. I didn't just pull that from anywhere. That's a true stat. Okay, so the cause of mental stress can have a debilitating effect on the physical body. So just remember that when you're stressing yourself out, you should be able to feel the symptoms that are coming on through that. All right. Again, if anyone has any questions, you can comment on the side of the bar here, and I can check them and I can answer you back. All right. I hope you've got your water next to you as well, because it's important to stay hydrated. And these are the physical things we need to work on. We need to work on nutrition. We need to make sure that we're eating healthily all the time. One of the things with diet, and I got a question last night, Toby, should I try a detox? What about these fast things that everyone's talking about? Exclude any fad that you hear online or on TV, okay? They're just trying to make money from you, and it's not actually going to benefit your health. It's very unsafe for someone who's got ill health to put your body under any more stress than it already is, okay? Because what we know about CFS and any other chronic illness, your body is under stress, okay? It's under stress all the time. What we need to try and do is get that body into a healing state. Now, if we're constantly putting our bodies under physical or emotional stress, it's never going to recover, all right? And what I mean by stress is physical or emotional overload to the body that it can't adapt to. Now, most healthy people can adapt to that kind of stuff. They can adapt to stress. They can deal with it. Healthy people can deal with a physical load more than an unhealthy person. And this is a great example. A sprinter, can go 100 miles an hour for a whole minute, right? And then have a rest, and then back it up, and then rest, and then back it up and do another sprint. Now, the next day, that athlete can pull up absolutely fine and then do the same thing. Now, with someone with CFS, we might be able to do it straight away, but what do you think the after effects are going to be like that? Your recovery rate is a lot slower right now. So keep that in mind when you are trying to do new things, trying to do physical activity, which is really important, by the way, but it has to be done in the right amount, okay? Same thing with, activities, events, social events, school, work commitments. Don't go from nothing to something straight away. You've got to ease back into it gradually but progressively. One of the other things that can cause stress and anxiety is actually trying new things. And I want to tell you, that was the hardest thing for me, was living again, trying to actually go from, being this bedridden person who was so deconditioned that couldn't walk for 1 minute to then, how do I work again? How do I even talk to someone again? I mean, I was petrified of going to social events because I didn't even know what to talk about. I'd been sick for 4 years. I was literally in my deathbed, and there wasn't much going on in the life of Toby Morrison. But the thing that I can tell you is it does get better, but you have to put yourself in the situations to overcome it and deal with it. Again, you don't throw yourself in the deep end. You just do slow, incremental amounts. All right. Now, I want to talk about physical activity, because this is a huge topic at the moment with chronic fatigue syndrome. And I recently travelled to America to do the worldwide CFS conference. Now, one of the best things that came out of that conference was the fact that research suggested that exercise is very beneficial for people with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. All right. Now, we know fibromyalgia and CFS, you get chronic pain with that. You get chronic muscle symptoms, okay? Exercise done in the right amount is going to help you with your recovery. Now, if anyone has a problem with that, then what I'll say to you is go, okay, well, if you can't open the car door to get in, or if you don't have the strength to literally tie your shoelaces together, if you don't have the strength to go have a shower, if you don't have the strength to go to the cinemas or be able to walk to the cinemas to watch a movie with your friend, how are you ever going to improve and get better? You need strength and stamina to be able to do things. Okay, so just listen to me while I say this, because exercise is not typical generic gym stuff that you see on TV and in Hollywood movies, okay? And this is the problem I had for so long. It was like I can't do anything. Like, how am I going to exercise? Like, I could barely move from my bed to my couch. Going from my bed to the bathroom was hard, back in the day. So one of the things with exercise, it has to be restorative and it has to be graded. And what I mean by that is, you don't want to do something that's going to exhaust you any more than you already are. And so simple movements, even body weight movements, where you literally just, raising your arms or extending your legs and just slowly improving your muscle condition over time. For me personally, I was an athlete before I got sick. I ran a beep test of 15.6, so I was super fit. That was equivalent of AFL football player. My PE teachers were amazed that I could even get that. Of course, soon after that, I got sick with glandular fever and chronic fatigue because I was pushing myself way too hard at that time. So for me, it was a hard adjustment to make from being someone who loves to push their body to then literally not being able to move my head off the pillow. It was hard, it was difficult, and it wasn't easy. But over time, it gets better. And what I want to say with that is, we've got to distinguish, and if you've got a pen and paper right now, I'd suggest writing these notes down, because it's really important to take notes and then reassess this after. You've got to distinguish, two different tiredness. There's chronic fatigue tiredness, and then there's exhaustion, okay? Unfortunately, CFS tiredness is there for a period of time. It's quite an extended period of time. Exhaustion hits when we overdo it. We're bedridden, we feel like we're going to collapse, okay? You need to distinguish between the two, and I like to scale it from 1 to 10. Okay, so 1's being really bad, not being able to get out of bed, not being able to do anything, completely bedridden, don't want to see anyone, shut the door. Okay, we've all been there, we've done that, that's normal. Okay, 10 is obviously on top of the world. Now, we're not going to get there straight away. All right, what you want to aim for is finding that in between. From 3 to kind of 7. All right, anywhere in there, you need to find a baseline that you can manage on a day-to-day basis. Now, when I talk about baseline, I'm not just talking about physical activity. I'm talking about routine, and I'm talking about daily structure. Without structure and routine, it is very hard to make improvements with your condition and improve your health. Okay, the body loves routine. Myself, I literally just went for an 8-week holiday to America for the CFS conference and to do some work for my online program. I didn't have a routine because I was literally on the plane every couple of days going somewhere different. Did I feel great? No, I didn't, because I wasn't into a set routine that my body was used to. Okay, and I'm a healthy person now. So now being back in my home, I've got a really great structure. I wake up at a certain time, I go to bed at a certain time, and I just stick to it. All right. This is something you need to do, but on a graded level and within and specific to your needs. Now, everyone's different. This is the problem with CFS. There's no same, category in terms of where everyone's at. So, it's important that, again, you don't want to be in that push and crash cycle. You want to be in that, nice positive cycle where we go, all right, well, I can manage to wake up at 10 a.m. I can manage to have my breakfast then. I can manage maybe a 1-minute walk today, or even some floor-based stretches. I can manage to talk to my friend for 10 minutes a day. I can manage to, even rest for 2 hours in a day, because if I don't rest, I'm going to crash. These things have to be written down, and they need to be structured initially. Over time, if your body gets used to it, you'll actually see improvements, and you'll be able to stick to it a lot easier. Unfortunately, you are not going to see change overnight. The body takes minimal 6 to 8 weeks to see any physical change. That's scientific, okay? So obviously it can happen quicker than that if you do exactly the right things, and people see success stories from my program within 4 to 6 weeks, and that's when they're diligent and they're doing the right things. Most people, when they're on your own, it's very hard to stick to something, all right? But you need to stick it out for longer than a couple of weeks. You can't just give up after a week and go, it doesn't work for me. I'm going to look for the next thing. Like, I like to be honest with all my clients, and I'm going to be honest right now. if you are looking for the next quick fix, potion or cure or person to fix you, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. Well, I say this all the time. I had a client recently who just signed up to the online program. She spent $5,000 on a treatment that didn't even work and made her worse. All right, it is just ridiculous. And these people who go, oh yeah, no, if you just stick to this and you try this certain pill or supplement or one kind of thing, it's not going to work. You need a holistic approach to your recovery. All right, are you looking at it from a mental aspect? Are you looking at it from a physical aspect? Are you doing everything right now to help yourself in the future? And this is what I said to my online inner circle last night. It is what you do right now, whether it's good or bad, is going to determine your future tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and the next week, the next month, the next year. All right, what we progressively put in on a day-to-day basis is what you're going to progressively get out. And unfortunately, it can go both ways. It can be negative and it can be positive. Now, setbacks and relapses aren't necessarily a bad thing. And it was funny. I wrote an article recently. I got a cold when I was overseas, and I thought to myself, it was actually a really good lesson for me, and I wanted to share it with everyone. And what happened was I got a cold and flu, and I was in bed for a couple of days, and of course I recovered within a couple of days. Now, having that cold and flu was actually a good thing for me, and I'll tell you why. Because that cold and flu was a warning sign that I was pushing myself and necessarily not into a good routine. Maybe lacking in good sleep or not getting enough amount of sleep. Potentially I was stressed a bit, so I needed to work on that. So getting sick or having a setback or relapse is not necessarily a bad thing if you can pinpoint the positive out of it. I got to the point where I was almost obsessively too positive about everything, and I mean, it did help me with my recovery, because every little setback I had or negativity I had, I would go back to it and go, what can I learn from this mistake? What can I learn from overdoing it? And if I did overdo it, with a social event or physical activity or stress, I would consciously write it down and go, okay, I'm not going to do that again, and make sure that I improve that. Okay. I hope you guys are getting something out of this today. I hope you guys are writing and taking some notes as well. Again, let's have a sip of water. We need to stay hydrated. And if you get any comments, please comment on the section below. Let me just see. I just want to have a look if we got any questions. All right. Now we've got lots of questions. Okay, I'm so sorry. All right, so what we're going to do? Okay, yeah. So this is great. We're getting some really good comments here. Yeah. So I just had someone from Daniel. He said people on forums looking for that magic pill, and it's funny. I get a lot of feedback from the stuff that I do, and some people are very skeptical about what I do, and they see the success results and they see people improve, and they go, well, it's not any medication, so we're not going to try it. Unfortunately, you have to put in the work to do it, and the ones that I see get results are the ones that consciously, actively, progressively work on their health. All right, not just like for a day, but for a while. I can see you're all commenting, which is great. What we're going to do, I've got a good comment. Yeah. Over time, it gets better. We've got a question here. Oh, okay. So about exercise, it's all about figuring out what works for you. So not necessarily one thing's going to work for everyone. What I will say is cardiovascular exercise, things like walking, running, all that kind of stuff, can be very detrimental to your health. And I'll tell you why. Two things. Cardiovascular exercise can really exert your energy levels quite quickly. It burns more calories. It's hard to kind of keep a gauge on your heart rate, etc., etc. Strength floor-based exercises or things like Pilates and yoga are much more safer, because you're not likely to, one, fall over and get too dizzy, but two, you're on the floor and you can take your own time with it. What I suggest with exercise, it has to be low intensity and graded and low impact. Things like hydrotherapy in a heated pool are fantastic. Again, consult a doctor, consult a physiotherapist first, get some proper help. I run one-on-one training sessions. Soon I'm going to open up some group, worldwide online physical sessions where we can join in together and we can go through a sequence of exercises that are going to benefit you. Again, if you're up to it, everyone's different. There's going to be a period of time where you can't. It's just as simple as that. But when you are ready to rebuild your strength, and I've got people who come in wheelchairs to my centre, so there isn't really much of an excuse. It's just where you're at. And I mean, those people in a wheelchair, yes, they're starting in a low-grade exercise regime, but it's better than nothing. And again, I'm going to ask you the question is, how are you going to go and do the shopping? How are you going to go to the movies with your friend? How are you going to tie your shoelaces, put your clothes on if you don't have the strength and stamina to do so? Again, I'm not talking about gym generic stuff. I'm not talking about, pushing yourself or working really hard. It's not about that. It's about working smart, okay? Really important that you work smarter, not harder. All right, less is more. We all need to tattoo less is more on our forehead. I always say that to my clients. They all laugh at me. Probably one day I might even do that. Maybe when I'm a little bit older, when I'm a little bit, where I guess I don't see as many people. Maybe I'll do that. Someone's going to hold me to that now. That'll be funny. So, again, that's one thing. I hope you realise with the diet, don't look for the fads. Stop looking for the fads. It has to be sustainable for you. Sustainability is the key, guys. Stop looking for these fast, quick answers that aren't going to help you. They're going to set you up for failure. They're going to waste your money. They're going to waste your time. All right. When people come and see me, they sit down. I don't take everyone on, by the way. I get at the moment, I've got over 2,747 emails that I haven't read. We get emails every single day, people asking questions, people asking for help. Unfortunately, we don't take everyone on in the online program and at my centre. People always question that. They go, "Why don't you take everyone? If it's a paid resource, then everyone should have access to it." I only want to help people who want to help themselves. Obviously, the viewers who are listening to this webinar right now, you're obviously interested in improving your health, which is great. Okay, that's the first step, consciously wanting to do something. The problem is, sometimes we want to get better, we like the idea of getting better, but we don't want to actually do the work. And I'm not saying your situation isn't easy, all right? I've seen it all. I've worked with cancer patients, I've worked with people who, have been on their deathbed more than they've been in their own bed. And I'm talking about being in hospital for more than half their life. So I've seen it all, and it's all relative and it's all perspective. But what's important is literally figuring out where you're at, what you can do to help yourself right now. And necessarily, it might not mean employing someone to help you. It might mean helping yourself first, all right? Because you're the most important person to you. Again, when I check all the applications for the online program, I make sure that I can tell by their mindset and the way they talk about it if they're actually ready to improve themselves. And like I said before, it's a readiness. I wasn't ready for a long time. Someone just commented in, I love your consistency over intensity, and that's so true. Okay, fantastic. So Tim just asked a good question. When you are ready to increase intensity, for example, walking to running, running to sports, you need to be able to manage what you're doing over 3 to 4 weeks before you increase any kind of physical activity or even engagement with an activity. So what I mean by that is you don't go backwards and you manage what you're doing right now, which is your baseline. You should only improve what you're doing by 5 or 10% each time. Okay, that is the safest way. All right. Unfortunately for me, I learnt the hard way. When I got better, I didn't do the physical training that I needed to do to play senior basketball. I jumped straight back in it because I wanted to, because I was healthy and fit, but I wasn't fit enough. I wasn't conditioned. I went and played. I dislocated my left shoulder in the first 4 minutes of that game. I was out for another year. I had a really, I think it was a 3-hour operation on my left shoulder. It set me back for another year. Now, again, I was really positive, and the reason why I was positive is going, well, after this operation, I'm not going to let any one of my clients play sport until I know they're physically ready to do so. Okay. Great question by Dana. Dana asked, what helped you with brain fog? Now, again, I'll ask you with your brain fog, yes, there's always going to be a little bit of brain fog initially, but is it after you watch TV that you get brain fog? Is it when you wake up you get brain fog? Sometimes oversleeping can cause brain fog. I'd be looking at hours you sleep. So if you're sleeping anywhere from 9 to 12 hours, that's fine. Anything more than 12 hours in a row is too much. Force yourself to even stay awake and then have another sleep during the day. If you are sleeping during the day, I'd suggest not sleeping any later than 2 to 3 p.m. because otherwise that's going to really set off your nighttime sleep and it's going to disrupt your nighttime quality sleep. Brain fog exercises are fantastic. If we're sitting down for too long, which we are right now, and we're going to finish up in about 3 minutes, if you're sitting down for too long, that can cause brain fog. It's important to stay consistent with your movement. So if you're sitting down for, say, 30 to 40 minutes, I'd suggest you even just stand up or even walk around a little bit, or even just do some stretches, or just stand up and kind of have a drink of water. Diet's really important with brain fog. If you have low blood glucose levels, you need to keep making sure that you're fueling your body all the time. Every 2 to 3 hours, you should have something to eat, something small to eat, whether it's fruit, vegetables, something healthy. So brain fog's really important. Now, if you're ready for it, brain fog can also be helped by slowly implementing, brain activities to get more focused and use your cognitive, brain side. So what I mean by that is, things as simple as, tapping your head and rubbing your stomach. Because you've got to think about it, and it's quite hard. And I get a lot of my clients to try to do that. We do a lot of juggling and ball throwing and catching with your opposite hands because that will wake your nervous system up, and it's fantastic for your health. But again, it has to be specific to where you're at. Everyone's different, okay? I'm gonna answer one more question. So if you want to type one in now, that's fine. I hope you've enjoyed talking to me. One thing I'd really appreciate you do is go over to my Toby Morrison Health and Lifestyle page and post a comment about what you learned in today's seminar. It's really important that obviously we help everyone out, and not everyone got to listen today, so it's important to share the love and spread it. I've got a quick one. I'll answer this. Hannah, no paleo or primal, gluten-free, dairy-free. Again, everyone's different. You can't go on a gluten and dairy-free diet just because someone else is. I'd suggest you go to a naturopath. Do what your body suggests to do. Everyone's different. Okay. Yes. Okay. Great. Michelle's just come in. She's asked, I find it very hard to even do any kind of movement, let alone exercise. I had a great success story from a lady in Chicago, and she's still in the online program. She signed up. She was sleeping 18 hours a day. She couldn't get out of bed. She was in a wheelchair. She was really concerned, but she thought the program was going to help her. 3 months later, she contacted me and said, it's not working. And I said, what's not working? She said, I can't do the program. And I said, it's not about you not doing the program, it's about what you're doing right now. And she said, I can't even get out of bed. I said, okay, so your first step is from going from lying down to sitting up in your bed. That's how simple it was. Now, that was the kick she needed just to start slowly implementing things. From there, she went from seated to maybe having a shower every second day. Even having a shower is tiring. From there, she went from having a shower to then making her own breakfast rather than getting someone delivering it to her in bed. All right. Now, it all sounds nice, but unfortunately, just because you're getting breakfast delivered in bed, I mean, I'm sure she'd much prefer to be able to have the energy to get up and make her own breakfast. The success story behind this is 4 months later, she's now functioning on a daily level. She's out of bed, she's moving, she's doing floor-based Pilates exercises, she's built up over time. And this is what we need to look at. We need to look at what we're doing right now and slowly implement it. Be kind to yourself, guys. Everyone's different. Michelle, I'm talking to you right now. You're obviously going through a really hard time like we all have, in previous areas of our life. Be kind to yourself. Don't try and push it too much, but just try and manage with where you're at. And if literally getting out of the bed and having one meal out of your bed a day is, good, then do that. Be proud of yourself. one of the things that I think we all take for granted is we want to get to that end. We want to get to that end kind of destination. Now, that's all well and good, but we forget about the journey. And I'd like all of you to almost look back, you know, from wherever you were really, really ill and go, wow, how far have I come? You know, it's really important that you see the small, tiny improvements that you've had. And I hope this webinar is going to kickstart your journey to better health, because that's what it's about. You know, I want to hear some success stories just from you guys. Whether you're in my program or not doesn't matter. What matters is that you take something out from today and you implement it on a day-to-day basis, even if it's just positive thinking. You know, sometimes we can't physically use our bodies, but we can use our mind. Visualization is key. I'll leave you with a really good story to finish off with. I was told to do some visualization when I was really sick, and I didn't believe that it was going to help me. Anyway, I finally figured out how to do it. I laid down, I imagined what would be perfect for me right now, what would equate to good health. What happened was, for some reason, for me, a picture of perfect health was running along the beach with the sun beaming down on my body. I was really fit and buff, you know, and just really fit. Now, at the time when I was visualizing that, I was literally almost so skinny that I could barely eat. I was 20 kilos lighter than I am now. You know, you can't really see me, but you know, I'm kind of, you know, I'm fit, but you know, I'm not like a bodybuilder. So I was very, very skinny. I used to wear 4 jumpers to school because I was so embarrassed about my body weight. Some people used to tease me because you know, they used to call me a girl because I was that skinny. So the power of visualization was fantastic because it actually made me think about what I could be. Maybe what's the possibilities, you know, and it felt so nice just to visualize that and just sit there and close my eyes and just think about me being fit again. Funnily enough, the book the front cover of my book that got published was chosen by the publisher, and that picture was me running on the beach with the sun beaming down on me. And you know, I still get kind of tingles in the back of my spine when I think about that, because you know, it was almost 8 years before that I was visualizing that actual image. So, you know, don't discard full recovery. You know, seriously, you know, guys, visualization is the key. Positivity is the key. You know, hang on to anything you've got. If I inspire you, then keep following me, keep looking up to me. If someone else in your life inspires you, then look up to that person. You know, I suggest you just have that one person you look up to, you want to be like, and follow their dream, follow your dream. The thing is, before we go, one thing is I want to make sure, you know, the viewers who are listening right now, do not let your illness define who you are. And this is something I see a lot that I don't really like. And I see people going, I'm a CFS sufferer. You know, my name's Toby, I'm a CFS sufferer. Well, you're not a CFS sufferer. You are who you are, but you're just going through something really bad right now. All right. This is not a forever thing if you don't allow it. All right. We all get a choice when we wake up in the morning how we're going to think. All right. Yeah, we could talk for hours about this, and I've got lots of different stories and success stories about people literally being told, you know, they're not going to live, you know, who have lived 5 years longer than they were told they would. It's not a mistake. All right, we get a choice every single day what we think about, whether it's going to be a good day or a bad day, regardless of our situation and circumstances. All right, and it's not about being super hippie and going, you know, my life's great, even though it's not. Be realistic, but be positive. You know, choose to think well, even if things aren't going great. It'll make a great difference to your life. I hope that helps. Again, I'd love you to you know, share my stuff and even just comment back to me. You can add me on Facebook, Toby Morrison Health and Lifestyle, and just leave a comment on what you learnt, because I want to learn from you as well, and you know, I want to keep inspiring you and educating everyone out there to better health. I hope that helps.